This is gonna sound a little strange coming from me, especially if you've been tuned into my channel for a while. Okay, I've been waiting a long time for Danny Garcia to fight someone really good. Okay, I've been waiting, especially at 147. Okay, it's been a long time since I seen Danny fight someone that I really wanted him to see. I wanted to see him fight. You know, I mean, I feel like after the Matisse win, it's just been the Danny Garcia show. Him fighting a lot of people that I really didn't care for. Believe it or not, I thought Herrera was his most dangerous opponent since he fought Lucas Matisse. Okay, that was the one fight that I actually did a video on where I said this was not a good fight for Danny Garcia. You know, and I know a lot of people think that Peterson won that fight, but I did too, that first viewing. But the second viewing, I scored it for Danny. Okay, I thought Danny won more rounds. But anyway, about the Thurman fight, you know what? I don't feel as confident about Keith Thurman winning as I once did. You know, I know people are saying, you know, what people always say, Danny always finds a way to win. Right? It's something about Danny Garcia where he finds a way to win. All right. He's not the hardest puncher. He's not the most athletic fighter. He's not a defensive genius. Okay. He's not a technician, like a super technician or anything like that. But the dude always finds a way to win, right? And I believe it. It's true. There's some people that I do think he could beat at 147. That's up there. But Keith Thurman was one of those guys that I always said that, oh, why don't he fight Keith Thurman? You know, why don't he fight Keith Thurman? Keith Thurman would handle Danny Garcia. And now that the fight is really going to happen, I'm not so confident about that. I still think Keith Thurman is going to win. That is my pick. But I'm pretty damn close to saying that this is a 50-50 fight. I'm pretty close. Because Keith has struggled, okay, against the top fighters. And that's okay. Because when you're fighting top guys, you tend to struggle a little bit. But once he stepped up, like once after like the Diego Chavez fight, all right, once he fought him, and then when he fought Bundu, and you know, I mean, he outboxed Bundu clearly, but I do think that Bundu should have been the guy that he stopped, okay, especially after Errol Spence did it, right? And then you had the Louis Collazo fight, which was a real strange fight about, you know, how he started, you know, he almost knocked him down with body shots. Then you had a Porter fight, which is, listen, Sean Porter is tough as hell. And that was a 50-50 fight. But Sean Porter was getting it on him for a while, you know. And I scored it for Keith Thurman, but, you know, I've watched the fight since then. And I'm like, damn, you know, this is a fight here that could have really gone either way. You know, those are tough fights. You know, even the Guerrero fight, which I thought he won the majority of the fight. It's like, why run away for 3 rounds? You know, I didn't really laugh like that. It kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. You know, the way that he ended that Guerrero fight. You know, especially with what's happened with Guerrero since that fight. Right, but Danny Garcia had a tough fight with Guerrero too, so I can't judge him. But what I'm trying to say is, as good as I still think Keith Thurman is, I don't think he's unbeatable. You know, I don't view him as some of the other fighters in this sport where I think they gotta go up in weight in order to meet their match. You know, I don't really think like that when it comes to Keith Thurman. I think there's a couple of guys. I think Errol Spence has a good chance of beating him. I think Kell Brook has a good chance of beating him. Sean Porter almost beat him. Okay. But Danny Garcia, I know Thurman is the power guy. I know he's the KO artist. But I truly believe that if someone is to get knocked out in this fight, I do think that Garcia has a better chance of hurting Keith Thurman. Don't ask me why. It's just something I feel. All right. I think Thurman, I don't want to say he's chinny because I haven't seen him down. But those no-look left hooks by Danny Garcia, if Keith Thurman gets too greedy and he's throwing a combination, he might get caught. He might get clipped. Not saying he's going to get knocked out, but Danny has enough power to hurt him. And these are the shots, the shots that Danny likes to land, the hooks. You don't see them coming. You never see them coming. He'll take a hit in order to give one. And if Keith Thurman gets a little too comfortable, which he does, because I see him make mistakes. He's skillful, but he still gets hit. Okay? I mean, even with Sean Porter, I just felt like at points Sean Porter was landing so many jabs in that fight where I thought, on the outside, Keith Thurman was going to definitely dominate Sean Porter. And that wasn't the case. It wasn't the case. Sean Porter was very competitive with Keith Thurman on the outside and inside. Definitely on the inside, but we expected that. Well, I was surprised to see what Sean Porter did on the outside. I do think I won't probably say 50-50, but I will probably say more like 55-45. Keith Thurman. By decision. I don't think Keith Thurman is going to stop Danny Garcia. I think Danny Garcia is one thing about Danny. He's one of the toughest fighters out there, period. He's never been down. We've seen him hurt, but he recovers very fast. And he can trade and he can slug it out. And believe it or not, I don't think Keith Thurman can do it. Keith Thurman can fight. He likes to square up with dudes. That's another thing. He likes to square up the dudes when he's getting, when the pressure's on him. Sometimes he goes back in a straight line swinging. He does some wild things. He's not really consistent when he's trying to be smart. Sometimes he does things he gets a little crazy. He gets a little out of control. He gets a little sloppy too. Gets a little reckless. I still think Keith can win. Will win, but I think it could be a close one, and if Danny wins, I wouldn't be too surprised. If Danny knocks him down, I wouldn't be too surprised, hurt him or whatever, even if he were to knock him out. And you know what? Keith Thurman might be the first one to really hurt Danny. He might be the first one to put Danny down. He might be. Because on the outside, I still give Keith the advantage. But Keith got to fight a smart fight. And I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to go in there and rumble with him. And I think that's where he's going to make his mistake if he does that. Now, if there's an opportunity to get Danny out of there, he should do it. But that's when Danny's most dangerous. That's when he's the most dangerous. When you think you got him, ask Amir Khan that. All right? So, I think it's a good fight. I hope it really happens. I have to keep saying that. Hope the fight really happens because you never know. But I think it's a legit good fight for both. Whoever wins arguably would have the best resume in the 147 division. Obviously you still got Pacquiao there. Obviously you got guys like Tim Bradley that's been doing it for a long time. But I'm talking about out of all of the PBC guys, Thurman or Garcia would definitely have the best resume, in my opinion, whoever wins this fight. Okay? Might even be a draw. But it definitely might be a slow fight. And a close fight. And I made this video because we can't sleep on Danny. That Danny finds a way to win that what's it called? I'm trying to think of the word. That spell or whatever. It's true. It's true. You know, even though I don't think he won against Herrera. You know, they gave, you know, I thought that was a straight up robbery. I thought that was a robbery. I know a lot of people use that word for everything, but I thought that was a robbery. But there's other fights where he still pulled it off, you know? All right? So, you know, as it gets closer, I'll probably do a final prediction like I normally do the week of or something. But for right now, I'm still leaning towards Thurman, but I'm not too confident about it. Not as I once was, okay? I think Danny could definitely give him a good fight, and I think that Danny could win the fight also. And I think he could hurt Keith Thurman too, right? So anyway, let me know what you guys think on this fight. There's some other fights that there's a lot of fights coming up now, especially in the beginning of next year. There's a lot of fights going on. You know, you got the 168 fight. James DeGale against Badou Jack. That's a great fight. Want to talk about it. And I got some old stuff to talk about too. All right, so make sure you subscribe.